Hey, what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy the LSU film review. All right, let's get into some of these moments that I want to highlight through the game today. And I think I've made sense of my puzzle piece kaleidoscope of notes here. And if anybody else has a moment they want to highlight, just jump in. But to me, Jake, so the game starts and 22-10 is the first time where I'm really like, this is getting real sketchy. We've been used to these early leads that the other teams are getting out to, but generally LSU has found a way to make it like 21-14, stay within a score. So when it's 22-10, you had to settle for a field goal. Good job by Damian Ramos getting you something when you desperately needed something. But at 22-10, you had to settle for a field goal. You haven't even come close to stopping them all day long. I mean, They have gone up and down the field without even breaking a sweat. And so it feels like at this point you're about to be staring down 29-10. There's nothing you really do about it. And it was at that moment on 3rd and 5 when a man who had a very good game, Harold Perkins, steps up. They have him standing on the edge like he's going to rush. He then drops to, what did Brian Kelly call it after the game? Maybe a rail. Just basically drop. It's something they hadn't shown yet, but having him drop into coverage on the receiver, kind of underneath in the seam, and Brady Cook, they haven't shown it yet. Brady Cook wasn't ready for it. He thinks he has the receiver. Harold Perkins right there, perfect coverage, comes up with the actual hands to make the pick, forces a turnover, and you get your first stop of the day, and you give your team a bit of life.
Yeah, you had to give it to him because of what you talked about. The Missouri offense was going up and down the field. It didn't feel like you could really stop them. All the things that were our biggest fears going into the game, a la Luther Burden III, like those were coming true. And then you had other receivers stepping up, and Schrader was out there running the ball like someone who was second in the SEC and rushing. And so, like, this wasn't a Mizzou offense that we were taking lightly. Like on this show, like you knew the weapons that they had, and then when the weapons are really hitting and popping, you're like, oh, man, like this could be a long day because of all these things that Missouri had to go well are going well. So that was maybe the biggest moment in the game, was just to stop and just to say, okay, we can get a stop.
Your breath.
Yes, let us go out there. Let us catch up a little bit on the score line as well, because like you said, when you don't score the first one, because LSU's almost had to be perfect on offense, when you didn't score the first one, you go 3 and out, it's like, oh, man, And then you look up and you're down multiple scores.
So you get the pick, and it's at this point, and even the drive before, credit to LSU, because LSU came out this game with a clear intention of running the ball. And why this is interesting is this is a Missouri team that was first in the SEC, giving up 70 rush yards a game. You end up with 43 carries, only 23 passes, 66% run essentially. 43 carries for 274, and even when you got down 22-7, you did not bail. It takes balls. And you got to give Jaden Daniels a lot of credit here, Jake. Again, Brian Kelly after the game said that a lot of these were checks. Right, a lot of these were Mizzou was clearly saying, okay, we're going to play coverage, and we don't, we like our guys well enough to win if it's a light box, and well, you shouldn't, because or maybe they just thought because like LSU should be forced to pass because we'll be up, which to be fair they were, but this offensive line, if you're going to go light in the box, they're going to dominate you. And look, I think it ended up having a lot of benefits, right? So credit Mike Denbrock for sticking with it, because if you remember last week, by the end of that Ole Miss game, that LSU defense looked like they were moving in slow motion. They were dog tired. Holding on to the ball in the manner in which you did this game had the dual benefit of keeping Missouri's offense off the field and resting your defense. So when the fourth quarter came around and you needed stops, your defense was actually fresher and able to do so. But you get the pick, and then on the next drive, you see another great example of what running the ball does. First off, Logan Diggs runs it all the way down, just doing a great job with anticipation. I love how much of a – well, I'll let you speak on Logan Diggs, Jake. I love how north and south he is, and he's doing a really good job of finding the little gaps and holes to squirt through and get a consistent 5 to 6.
Yeah, the thing that I think he does really well is a lot of times he hits the line full speed.
Yeah.
But even when he doesn't, like T-Bob's talking about, like it's like find it and then it's north-south immediately.
Yeah.
And that's what he's doing a really nice job of. He's got some real explosive nature to him as well. And he runs just mean, nasty, tough.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of got a little combination of everything right there. And he's been key. I mean, he has been huge for LSU's success. Like even going back to the Ole Miss game, like he gives you an opportunity to play two different styles because you couldn't do what you're doing in the passing game if you didn't have a true running threat. You just couldn't do it. Like we all know, defensive lines would pin their ears back and coordinators would blitz you and they try to stop Jaden Daniels alone. Well, if you try to do that, you have to have a back that can take advantage of it on the other side. And Logan Diggs has certainly been able to do that. I mean, he has taken running back rotation fully off the board.
Yeah.
I mean, it hits him. Like it's in look, we're talking about some good players that aren't getting playing time because Logan Diggs is forcing the offense to play him. I mean, he has 24 carries in this game. Josh Williams was the only other running back that touched it. He had 2 carries.
Mm-hmm.
So he has forced what we thought was going to be a 3, maybe a 4-man rotation at running back to be solely, no, we've got an RB1 and we're going to ride him all game long.
And he earned it. And he actually came up with the big pass pro pickup again on the Malik Neighbors touchdown to take the lead later in the game. Okay, let's get back to moments, though, because one of the next moments to me is you are losing 32-27. It's the beginning of the fourth quarter, only 11 minutes left in the fourth. Jaden Daniels just got the holding taken off the board and got hurt. Then you missed the field goal. Okay, so it's the fourth quarter. You're down a touchdown, and you had a sequence where what I believe was a bad holding call, which took a touchdown off, got your quarterback hurt, and then you missed the field goal. Okay, so pretty disastrous stuff. It's at that point when your defense takes over, your defense that has been hapless, feckless, generalless for a few weeks now, and what do? Shout out the defense. They force a massive 3-and-out. And once again, who was it that was kind of the engine behind it? Harold Perkins. So 32-27, 11 minutes left. You got to come up with a stop on the first play. I love this play, Jake, because Perkins is in zone coverage. Brady Cook starts to scramble, and Perkins takes a step towards Cook. And then you can almost see the hold up now, we've talked about this, like pop into his brain because he starts to get sucked in towards Cook. He sees that everybody else is, like, Cook is covered. It's not his responsibility. And he immediately drops back. One step forward, then starts to drop back. Cook tries to put it over his head. He jumps up, bats it down. Perfect. Second down. The next play, he's again in that nickel Sam roll. They try to run a swing pass to his side. He fights through the blocker, comes up with a TFL. All of a sudden, it's 3rd and 13. Well, we've been here before. What's going to happen? Great coverage leads to Mason Smith getting the sack, and all of a sudden it's a 3-and-out, and you have now set the offense back up. That is complimentary football. Okay, the offense came away with 0. You stopped 3 them out, and you gave them another chance right away. That was probably my favorite sequence of the game.
And look, we're talking about players that we were counting on coming into the season, Harold Perkins and Mason Smith. You have players. Do you have players right now like that at every level? No, you don't. But you certainly have some players that can change the game, like T-Bob's going through, right? Harold Perkins and Mason Smith, and they make play on first down and second down and third down. Like, you have that ability. Is this defense ever going to be the 85 Bears? No, it is not. But you do have the ability to go out there and make those plays. And, the defensive backs right now, it is what it is. Now, they end up making some plays in this game that, certainly led to victory right there, but you have to have those type of performances from those players throughout the rest of the season if you want to have an opportunity.
So the defense forces that 3-and-out. Credit Mizzou, good punt. You end up on the 8-yard line.
Go
ahead.
Is that the one that you didn't field?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you got to do it.
That's crazy.
You go out there and you literally have one job on this team. That is your job. You're back there to catch the punt. You don't have to run it. You have to catch that punt. You have to go out there, be aggressive, and go fair catch that punt. You're talking about, 20 yards of field position. They're punting out of their own end zone.
And as we're saying, a critical time. Fourth quarter, down 5, every yard matters.
They flipped the field completely because, you didn't go up there and catch. You have to. And look, it is a lot of times it is nerve-wracking to be in that position, but again, that is the one thing that Clayton does on this team. He is the punt returner. You have to go field that because it could have been disastrous.
Yeah, so now, about around 10 minutes left. You have 92 yards to go. You're down 5. And immediately, Jake, you're facing a 3rd and 9. Staring down a 3 and out. What happens? Jaden Daniel finds an open seam, scrambles, about a big conversion, about a 13, 14-yard game. Next up, it's a big gainer, Malik Neighbors. Then all of a sudden, it's 3rd and 3 from the Mizzou 35. What does Jaden Daniels do? He takes it all the way to the end zone from the Mizzou 35. And just like that, a sequence that was kicked off with the toughness of a defense that has been awful, forcing that 3 and out. All of a sudden, you go up and you are now winning 35-32. Jaden Daniels just would not be denied finding his way to the end zone.
No, I mean, there's so many special plays there at the end of that game, and there's a couple of different things they found that they liked in this game plan. One of the things that they showed that I hadn't really seen a lot of, was their bunch formation.
Yeah.
They loved running the bunch formation this week against Mizzou, and they had a couple of big hitters. But, like, even when Jaden wasn't getting those type of plays, and he closed the door on the game, like, even just, like, 6-yard runs that he was picking up. Like, sometimes it wasn't even there, and he was creating on his own, and look, I don't know how much Jaden Daniels weighs, but I have never seen somebody with his frame be able to split defenders like he does.
You just get sideways.
T-Bob, it is incredible. Like, he'll attack the most outside guy, get him to open his hips just enough, puts his foot in the ground, and he splits defenders all the time.
Well, the putting the foot in the ground is also a thing to highlight because we all watched the Toy Story football game, or at least the highlights of it. You know how when a guy got going really fast, like the flames would come out of their feet? Like when Jaden Daniels is running, I can almost see the cartoonish flames coming out of his feet because his acceleration is unmatched, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he goes 0 to 60 so fast. And guys can't fathom it. They just can't keep up. Like they think they can. They think they have the angle, and they just don't because they're not appreciating the true speed and quickness. Maybe the acceleration more than top-end speed, even though both are great. Of Jaden Daniels. So you take a 3-point lead at that point, and this is where, this is a bit disappointing by the defense. This was entirely too easy. Mizzou, it takes them like 2 minutes. They're not stressing at all. They go right down the field, 75 yards. They score. It's 39-35. So all of a sudden, all that good work by the offense now once again erased, and Jaden Daniels, the boys get the ball back. There's 5 minutes, 40 seconds left, 75 yards to go in an opponent's stadium, ranked environment. Look what happened in Notre Dame and Louisville this weekend, okay? None of this is easy. That is a good Mizzou team. You're in their stadium. They have belief. They have a lead. You're coming off of your own ranked road battle a la Notre Dame and what happened in Oxford last week. Like, it would have been real easy to give into the momentum, to give into the crowd. Just say, you know what? We put up 35. It just wasn't enough. But, hey, what do? They go right down the field. It's set up with a massive scramble by Jaden Daniels, in which he does a little draw up the middle. Lineman falls on the ground. He hurdles the lineman, takes off to the sideline. And then again, that's where the kind of busted coverage from Mizzou comes into play. They get pressure on Daniels. He flushes, and he finds Malik wide open for the touchdown. And again, this play only works. We can get into it, but DJ Chester ended up coming in. So you ended up playing your third center in the most important parts of this game, and Chester was unflappable. He played well. But on this play, he had a bit of a miscommunication, lets the nose go, and it's Logan Diggs who has to, despite having, a 100-pound disadvantage, gets in the way just enough to give Daniels time. Touchdown, LSU takes a 3-point lead.
Yeah, and you mentioned Chester coming in, and you go back to the one that you just talked about, that first quarterback draw. I mean, he did a nice job of really just caving that entire right side down, him and Frazier, the guard there, and that's very difficult to do. And Marlon Martinez is somebody that we've highlighted a lot, having a guy that you can come in there, has played so much before, but he didn't do what they needed him to do in that game. Had a couple of high snaps, and they trusted a true freshman that, I don't want to say he's out of position, but I don't think anybody thought he was coming here to play center.
No, true.
I mean, and you obviously can talk about how difficult that is, kind of coming in here and you're thinking you're going to play guard, and it's like, No, like I kind of found my way to be a center as a true freshman on the road in this type of environment. So that's not easy to do.
It definitely helps having vets around you because you could see Dellinger and company making the calls.
Yeah.
Basically being like, hey, that's, hey, Mike, blah, 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 whatever, passing along lines. But physically, and look, he didn't have MAs. Like physically, though, Chester, well, except for the one that
I'm currently watching the play that you're talking about, and Logan Diggs does just enough to get in front of him.
He just had to get in the way. He gets blown back about 4 or 5 yards, but he keeps his feet in front of him, and he keeps him off of Jaden. Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.